Good day, everyone. Let me present to you our group reporting. This reporting is all about who am I in the cyber world, digital self. But first, let me read to you our lesson objectives. At the end of this lesson, you should be able to first define online identity. Next, compare real identity versus online identity. Next, describe the influence of internet on sexuality and gender, and discuss the proper way of demonstrating values and attitudes online. Next is the abstraction. More than half of the populations worldwide now uses the internet. Internet has already become an integral part of everyday life for most of the world's population. The Philippines is among one of the countries with the most active internet users. Online identity. Online identity is actually the sum of all our characteristics and our interactions. And it is a social identity that an internet users establish in online communities and websites. It may also be an actively constructed presentation of oneself. We also know that internet has already become an integral part of our everyday life for most of the world's population. And based po sa aking research, the Philippines is the social media capital of the world. Why? Because po, most of the social media users have an extraordinarily high usage time of about 4 hours per day. Dahil alam naman natin na halos lahat sa atin dito sa Pilipinas ay nalulong na po talaga sa social media. Kahit nga po ako, pagising ko, hawak ko, CP ko. Pagkatapos kumain, cellphone. Bago matulog, cellphone. Kahit nga po kayo, diba? Kaya nasasabi natin that the Philippines is the social media capital of the world. For example po, online identity po is when people define their identity or tinutukoy ng mga tao ang kanilang pagkakakilanlan sa pamamagitan ng paggawa o paglagay ng mga profile picture, bio, yung mga hobbies ng mga users sa mga Facebook nila, or expressing their opinions or blogs and other social media platforms na mas kilala sila sa kung ano sila true opinions. Next is the partial identity. Partial identity is a subset of characteristics that make up our identity. Sa madaling salita po, partial identity is when you provide personal information such as your name, age, hometown to a website operator. You are creating your own partial identity which is called po persona. For example po, nag-rent ka ng mga upuan, mesa, tapos kukunin yung mga personal details mo like name, age, house, address, etc. That what we call partial identity po. Next po is the persona. Persona po is the partial identity we create that represents ourselves in a specific situation. Why persona is the partial identity? Because partial identity is a subset of characteristics that make up our identity. Personal identity is the interpersonal level of self that differentiate the individual as unique from others. Persona is the partial identity po kasi po ang persona ay ang ating pagkakakilanlan like ang ating pangalan, edad, kung saan tayo nakatira. Kaya persona is the partial identity po kasi ang partial identity naman ay ang atin na rin pong pagkakakilanlan. Kagaya nga po ng example ko sa partial identity na binibigay natin ang ating mga personal details kapag tayo ay mag-rent o kukuha ng room sa hotel o kung ano paman. Next is selective self-presentation and impression management. Self-presentation is the process of controlling how one is perceived by other people. Who believe that self-presentation is the process of controlling how one is perceived by other people? Based po sa aking research is si Erving Goffman po. Naging sikat po siya sa concept of perception management in his book po, that the presentation of self and everyday life, where he argues that impression management not only influences how one is treated by other people but is an essential part of social interaction. kung saan po pinagtatalunan niya na ang pamamahala ng impresyon ay hindi lamang nakaka-impluwensya sa kung ano tinatrato ang isa ng ibang tao, ngunit ito ay isang mahalagang bahagi ng pakikipag-ugnayan sa lipunan. Next is to construct positive image. Individuals selectively provide information about them and carefully cater this information in response to other feedback. According to Goffman and Layery, self-presentation is the process of controlling how one is perceived by other people, and is the key to relationship and development po is to construct positive image. Individuals selectively provide information about them and carefully cater this information in response to others' feedback. Next, sharing ourselves is no longer new and has been practiced as soon as human beings were formed. Ibig pong sabihin, ang pagbabahagi daw po ng ating sarili ay hindi na bago dahil we also know that if we share ourselves to other, kung ibabahagi po natin ang ating sarili sa ibang tao ay maganda pa iyon dahil upang mas makilala pa po tayo kung ano talaga tayo. Next, digital devices help us share information broadly. Alam naman po natin ang mga digital devices ay nakakatulong po talaga sa atin na makapag-share ng mga informations sa iba't ibang tao, kaya malaking tulong po ito para sa atin. Next, we have entered an extraordinarily era of self-portraiture. In older family albums, the photographer was not often represented in the album, whereas with arm's length photos, they are necessarily include selfies and groupies. Next, conversion of private diaries into public revelations of inner secrets. The lack of privacy and many aspects of social media make the users more vulnerable. Totoo po ito dahil may mga bagay talaga na dapat ikaw lang ang dapat nakakaalam, kaso dahil sa ibang social media kagaya ng Facebook, Messenger, ay may ibang mga taong nakakabasa ng mga secrets dahil may mga nangahack po nito. At isa rin po ako ang nabiktima ng hacker, kaya kung may magsisend sa inyo ng link, wag na wag niyong bubuksan, lalong-lalo na hindi niyo kakilala dahil may isang babae na nag-send sa akin ng link, sabi niya may magpi-fill up lang daw para sa kanilang research at pag-open ko, wala pang isang oras, hindi ko na ma-open yung account ko. Kaya ingatan nyo ang inyong mga account, lalo na kung may mga importanteng conversation dyan sa account nyo or something mahalagang information pa. Next, sharing the good things, the bad, embarrassing, and sinful things we experience. We also react and comment on negative experiences of others, empathize with people, argue with others online. Next, blogs and social media are the primary digital fora on which such confessions occur, but they can also be found in photo and video sharing sites where blunders and bad moments are also preserved and shared. We also know that through social media like blogs, we create a content ourselves about po sa halimbawa, may nagawa kang kasalanan sa isang tao, magko-confess ka ng iyong kasalanan through social media at i-share mo yon at maraming makakakita. Next, we should have a filtering system to whatever information we share online, as well as to what information we believe in, which are being shared or posted by others online. Kasi po, through social media, nakakapag-post tayo ng mga information like mga announcement at marami pang iba, mga information na pwede nating ma-share through online.
The term sex, gender, and sexuality are often thought of as synonymous. Sex is the biological state that corresponds to what we might call a man or a woman. It is often explained as a biological, fixed, and immutable. It is actually socially constructed. Sabi nito, ang sex ay isang biological na estado na tumutugma sa kung ang maaari nating tawaging lalaki o babae. By gender, someone who identifies with both male and female gender or even third gender. Ito ay isang taong kinakilala ang parehong lalaki at babae na kasarian o kahit isang ikatlong kasarian. Gender is the social understanding of how sex should be experienced and how manifest and behavior, personality, preference, capabilities, and so forth, as a socioculturally specific set of norms that are mapped on category of sex. Ang kasarian ay panlipo ng pag-unawa kung paano dapat maging karanasan, ang pagkikipagtalik, mga kakayaan at iba pa, bilang isang pangkat ng mga pamatayan, partikular sa kultura na nakamapa sa isang kategorya ng kasarian. Ang kasarian ay tumutukoy sa mga katangian ng mga women or boys, babae at lalaki sa binubuo sa lipunan. This includes norms, behavior, personality, preference, and capabilities associated with being woman or man, girl and boy, as well as relationship with each other. Kabilang dito ang mga kaugalian, pag-uugali, mga kakayahan sa kagustuhan sa personalidad ay nauugnay sa pagiging isang babae o lalaki na rin ang relasyon sa isa't isa. At bilang isang panlipunan, construction, nag-iiba ang kasarian sa bawat lipunan at maaaring nagbago sa paglipas ng panahon.
Sexuality is an individual expression and understanding of desire, while like gender, this is often viewed as binary, homosexual, or heterosexual in reality. Sexuality is often experienced as fluid.
Ang sexuality or tinatawag binary, homosexual o heterosexual. Ang homosexual, a person with sexuality attracted to people of their own sex. Isang tao sexual ay naakit sa mga taong kasarian nila. Ang homosexuality ay tumutukoy sa pagkaumaling sa pagitan ng mga tao kapareho ng kasarian. Ito ay nagmula sa salitang Grego na homos na nangangahulugan pareho, isang ito orientation, sexual, talihwas sa pagkakilanlang pagkasarian gaya ng lalaki at babae ay hindi binary. Judith Butler conceptualized gender as a performance. Ibinigay ni Judith Butler ang kasarian bilang isang pagtatanggal o pagganap. Gender was performative in that it is produced through millions of individual action rather than something that comes naturally to men and women. Sabi nito, ang kasarian ay pagganap dahil ito ay ginawa sa pamamagitan ng milyong-milyong individual na aksyon sa alit ng isang bagay na natural na dumarating sa mga lalaki at babae. The ability of user to self-consciously adapt and play with different gender identities would reveal the choice involved in the production of gender, breaking down binaries, encouraging fluidity in sexuality and gender expression. Sabi na naman nito, ang kakayaan ng mga gumagamit na kumbisedo ay umangkop at makipaglaro sa iba't ibang pagkakainlanlan ng kasarian ay mag-ahayag ng mga pagpipilian kasangkop sa paggawa ng mga binary na pinag-iiwalay ng kasarian ay nag-iikayat sa mga pagkalikedo sa sexualidad at pagpapahayag ng kasarian.
Good day everyone, I am Ariel Jan Mangoso and this is my part of the report. Setting boundaries to your online self, smart sharing. Is this post or story necessary? Is there a real benefit to this post? Is it funny, warm-hearted, teachable, or I am just making noise online without purpose? Have we, as a family or parent, child, resolve this issue? Is it appropriate? Does it stay within the boundaries of our family values? Will this seem as funny in 5, 10, or 15 years? Or is this post better suited for sharing with a small group of family members, or maybe not at all? So, in this today's century, which is the 21st century, us people are very deep in using social media. By that, we must know what could be our limitations while using it. So, came from the word smart sharing. We must think before we share. We must identify first if yung pinopost ba natin is applicable for all, like relatives, family, friends, etc. Or kung nakaka-harm ba ito sa mga taong gumagamit din ng social media. It is applicable for the young users. Appropriate ba itong post na ito? Hindi ba ito violente? So, para maiwasan yung ganyang issue sa paggamit ng social media, we need to put some boundaries or limitations sa pinopost natin kasi kung post lang tayo ng post or share lang tayo ng share without knowing the outcome of that post, this could be lead to a big issue. And yes, we cannot deny the fact that social media gives negative effects to everyone. For instance, addiction and cyberbullying, which can affect one's mental health. In response to this situation, be a responsible user. Without media and information literacy across the valid types of media now available, we cannot act as responsible citizens, digital or otherwise. Discipline yourself and be a smart sharer. Rules to follow. Stick to safer sites. Guard your passwords. Limit what you share. Remember that anything you put online or post on a site is there forever, even if you try to delete it. Do not be mean to or embarrass other people online. Always tell if you see strange or bad behavior online. Be choosy about your online friends. Be patient. For the rules to follow, so according sa sinabi ko earlier about sa setting boundaries to your online self, kailangan nating limitahan lahat ng pinopost natin sa social media. And of course, we must secure our personal account. And wag itong i-share sa iba for our safety na din. And one thing is, we must avoid interacting to those strangers na nakikilala natin online. Kasi di natin malalaman kung ano yung posibleng mangyari. New media is like a megaphone. It amplifies your ability to reach more people. When it comes to information, dissemination as well as communication, there are forms of new media which play a vital role in the society. For instance, the social media networks. Ito yung nagiging way to connect individuals with other people. Mag-share ng knowledge, information, ideas, as well as message on a current issue in society. And kailangan nating sundin ang rules na nakasulat sa rules to follow for our safety. Secure our accounts. Iwasan din na makipag-interact sa hindi natin kakilala or magkaroon tayo ng limits sa pagkikipagkaibigan sa social media. And maglagay ng limits when in terms of using or posting in social media to avoid bad incident. Parati nating isipin ang ating kaligtasan. And again, be a smart sharer. So, yun lang po. Thank you and God bless. Stay safe.